Okay, so we're going to be looking again at Much Ado About Nothing, and this time we're going to be looking at the themes of jealousy and honour. So, our most obvious person who is jealous is Claudio. Claudio can be thought of almost like an immature version and a comic version of Othello. he has a destructive jealousy, coupled with being very gullible. He trusts Don John, even though we know that Don John is a very shady character, even though that he has just been instrumental in the defeat of Don John, and the battle that they've won was putting down a rebellion led by Don John. But he trusts him implicitly and over his better judgment over even when his friend Don Pedro, and this leads to the problems in the play. Benedict also is jealous. We see that with the implicit images created in the cuckolded husband references. This whole idea of a man trapped at home by a faithless wife. He initially dislikes Hero as she will take away his mate, for want of a better word, his friend, this male friend, this kind of like, it's almost like a bro culture, 16th century bro culture, where the boys stick together and they make rude jokes and they go to war and they go off to Venice and get prostitutes and all of that. But for Claudio to then get married, that would end all that. And there's an element of jealousy there of the thought of Claudio going off and getting a wife and settling down. And it's not until he realises his love for Beatrice that he overcomes this jealousy. Also, Leonardo is jealous. He is jealous over Hero's honour. When you look at how he reacts after Claudio denounces Hero in Act 4, Scene 1, his language is full of repetition, it's full of exaggeration, of imagery. He's almost pushed to a point of insanity and despair at the thought of his daughter being unfaithful. And then as the rationalisation by the friar and by Beatrice come in, that realisation that his daughter's been wronged, it has a dramatic effect on him. But his love for her is possessive and authoritarian. And his honour depends on her virginity. Thus, he's jealous for that. Now, we see Claudio at the beginning when he gives over the job of wooing Hero to Don Pedro because he just doesn't feel up to himself. But he's also doing that differential thing of he's the younger man and Don Pedro's the older man, and he's getting him to broker that deal because for him marriage is as much a business transaction than about actual love and romance. And he describes Hero as that jewel. Can the world buy such a jewel? And by giving over that job to Don Pedro, but when we see the masked ball, at the masked ball, he spends the masked ball he's noting, watching Don Pedro jealously. And he's vulnerable to Don John's pretty lame attack. But Beatrice sees through him. We see in Beatrice somebody who's really insightful into the other characters in the play. She really understands what's happening. She really sees and understands the can't say that word. She really understands the double standards that are at work within Mycenaean society. And at the mass ball, she says that Claudio is civil as an orange, and something of that jealous complexion. In Act 2, Scene 1, round about line 233 to 34. When Claudio feels jealous, he reacts by becoming misogynistic. He blames poor Hero at this point and during the mass ball. Beauty is a witch. So even when he's thinking that his friend has done the dirty on him and tried to steal his woman away, and Hero doesn't know anything about this, Hero doesn't know that Claudio's interested in him, he blames Hero, but he does not blame Don Pedro, which comes into that whole idea of male honour, which we're going to talk a wee bit more about in a moment. And so when Claudio at Hero's window, when he's watching the window, his jealous nature has him primed to be deceived. Now, he's already been tricked by Don John. So you would think that that would make him be on his guard that when Don John approaches him. But Claudio is Claudio trusts any man before the most spotless woman. Now the play itself, the play revolves around honour. Now this is the whole of Messina's social code is based on honour. So, male honour is to do with valour. We see that when Claudio is first introduces, it talks about him having much honour with regard to what he's done on the battlefield. That's in Act 1, Scene 1, round about line 8. But also allegiance to social superiors. So in Much Ado, Don Pedro's at the top. Then you've got Leonardo, Claudio, Benedict. Now we see that Leonardo, though he's the oldest person in the play, he is deferential to Don Pedro. When you see the opening scenes, Leonardo is overly, almost to the point of being embarrassing. The way he welcomes him to his home, it's just very over the top and just too much. But that's because Don Pedro is at the top of the pecking order, and Claudio allows Don Pedro to broker the deal with Leonardo over the marriage to Hero. For women, women's honour is completely based in their virginity. And their subservience to men. Now, interestingly, when you hear the banter between the men, you see that the men have been at Venice. So Venice in this time is a place of, it's very debauched. So it's debauchery, sexually liberal. It was a place where men would go to have sex, basically. And it talks about, Don Pedro jokes with Benedict that when he's been in Venice, he's kind of used up all his sexual energy. It talks about he says, Cupid spent all his quiver, which is a very fancy, poetic and nice way to say that he went to Venice and had lots of sex with lots of different women. And that would be a man could go and do that, and that's what men did when they went to Venice. And one of the reasons that Shakespeare sets his plays in Italy is that he can get away with having men who are misbehaving in this manner. He can send them to Venice, but they wouldn't be able to do that if they were English gentlemen. It would be frowned upon. But the English had this prejudice against the Italianate culture, which was seen to be a bit seedy and a bit debauched, not like England, but they liked it anyway because England was like that as well. But they wouldn't admit it. So by setting these plays in Italy, Shakespeare can have his men misbehaving in this way and it not offend anyone. And so they all know if the men have been to Venice, what have they got? That's what they've been getting up to. The men can do that, the men together, they can go and be bros together in Venice and misbehave. The women, on the other hand, cannot do that because a woman's honour is rooted in her virginity, and her ability to get married is linked to that, and also her subservience to men. So Hero is the image of the perfect woman. Now, although Beatrice is a virgin, and there's no the play doesn't doubt that, it doesn't cast any aspersions against her. She is not, and nobody says that she's done anything to call into question her chastity. But she does challenge men and she stands up to men. She isn't as subservient as Hero, and Leonardo warns her that she better be careful or she won't be able to get herself a husband because of her. She's just a bit too free in the way she talks to men. Now, Beatrice exposes the difference between the honour code, the male honour code, and the reality. So again, we see this whole idea of, I suppose, the difference between the illusion. It's this idea of something being an illusion again. After Claudio denounces Hero, so after the denouncement, the male honour is shown to be cruel and heartless and hypocritical, the hypocrisy. The denouncement of Hero is all rooted in the male honour. So we see that Don Pedro says, I stand dishonoured. That have gone about to link my dear friend to a common stale. So that's in Act 4, Scene 1, round about 63, 60 to 64. So his anger is rooted in his honour. It's the supposed unfaithfulness of Hero is a matter of honour for Don Pedro and Claudio. And then, but for Beatrice, this whole thing is a fact of honour. Her kinswoman has been dishonoured, and she's enraged by this, that these two men can so denounce her publicly, destroy her reputation, and shame her in this cruel and heartless way. And her response is just, it's full of anger and hate, and she completely exposes just how cruel and heartless this male honour code is. She vents I'll read this, but I won't write it all out. Is a not approved in the height of a villain that hath slandered, scorned, dishonoured my kinswoman. Oh, that I were a man! What bear her in hand until they come to take hands, and then with public accusation uncovered, slander, unmitigated rancour. O God, that I were a man, I would eat his heart in the marketplace. So I'll write that bit down. O God, that I were a man, I would eat his heart in the marketplace. And that's in 4:1, round about line 300 onwards. And then just following on from that a wee bit, she mocks them. She said, princes and counties, surly, a princely testimony, a goodly count comfort, a sweet gallant surely. Oh, that I were a man for his sake, or that I had any friend that would be a man for my sake. But manhood is melted into curtsies, valour into compliment, and men are only turned into tongue, and trim ones too. So she takes all this manliness, and she just exposes it for what it is. And at this point, Benedict takes up Beatrice's challenge. Beatrice challenges Benedict. If he loves her, he should kill Claudio. Benedict breaks with male honour to avenge the dishonour done to Hero. So where Claudio believed Don John just because he was a man, he didn't believe, he didn't listen to Hero, he didn't look into anything. He believed the word of a man because he was a man, even though that man was not a man to be trusted. Benedict breaks with the male honour code and listens to Beatrice. He trusts what she says to be true, and he is willing to avenge the dishonour done to Hero by killing his friend for her sake. and that will take us on to the ideas of slander and gender in another video.